Could Donald Trump win the state of Virginia? Let's find out. Hello everybody, welcome to Politics Enhanced, and thank you all so much for clicking on today's video. And today we're going to talk about the 2024 election in the state of Virginia and whether or not Donald Trump actually has a chance to flip the state of Virginia, and if he does so, he would be the first Republican since 2004 to win the state. Before I begin, I kindly ask that you please like, comment, and subscribe. Hit the notification bell so you don't miss another video, and without further ado, let's get started. So as you can see right here, I have the 2024 polls for Virginia, and as you can see right now, Kamala Harris is up about 6% in the state of Virginia, which is not good for a Democrat. Usually Democrats win the state of Virginia by more than 6 points. We see in 2020 that Biden won it by over 10 points. So what exactly does this mean? Donald Trump has been making claims that he can win the state of Virginia and that Virginia is in play. And to some extent, a lot of people believe this because you do see in 2021 the surprise gubernatorial election result where Glenn Youngkin actually won the election against the Democrat. So in the state of Virginia, we see that there's been a lot of trends against the Republican Party. You have a lot of migration to the state, you have a lot of immigration, and you also have the northern DC metro area, which has a very large percent of Virginia's population. However, if we look at previous elections, such as in 2020 and 2016, we can see that the race in 2024 is a whole lot closer. And this is 2020, and as we can see, Biden won the state by almost 10 points, which is pretty historic for Joe Biden. It was a very establishmentarian state, and I believe this is solely because of the Nova area close to DC and Maryland that really has a lot of government workers and a lot of individuals who tend to lean left being in that suburban city metro area. If we also go back to 2016, we see that the polling in Virginia was actually almost pretty accurate and Clinton won it by 5.5. So could we be looking at Virginia trending to the right, or could we be looking at Trump being able to win the state of Virginia, which I think are two very different scenarios because honestly, most of the country is trending to the right. As we can see, or as it's been heard, Donald Trump is actually leading the national popular vote, something that he has never led before, especially at this point in the election. Clinton led by 4, Biden led by 7, and he's leading in almost all the swing states too. But we're going to focus on Virginia today because, again, Donald Trump and the Republicans are saying that they can win the state of Virginia. And while I do think it is going to shift to the right, I wanted to really delve into, is it actually winnable for Republicans? Or is Trump using it as a strategy to get more House seats so that when he does take office, or if he takes office, he'll have a solid majority in the Congress? Because if we look at the early vote data, we see that a lot of people who are voting are Democrats. They're not Republicans. And some could view this as a problem. Others could view this as a good thing because, yes, you have had a lot of Republicans come out early. And as you can see here on the NBC News website, we see that in terms of party registration, it's over 50% Democrat, 39% Republican, and then 10% independent. And you can only imagine that those 10% people are probably breaking evenly for the Republicans and the Democrats. It's hard to tell because we don't know who's voting for who, but you would assume that this bloc, the Republican bloc, is voting for Donald Trump. 51% of the voters are voting for Harris, and then this 10% is probably evenly split. If we go to the vote type, we can see, however, that most of these votes are in person, which is definitely a good thing. You don't want to see a lot of mail-in ballots. That would just extend the election time, and that wouldn't necessarily be a good thing for both sides of the aisle, but especially for the Republicans. We want our elections to be called on election night or as soon as possible. It's election day, not election month. But I don't write the rules, folks. But as we can see, 1.7 million mail-in ballots have been requested in the state of Virginia. And I really wanted to take a deep dive and look into what this means overall for the state of Virginia and Trump's chances of winning it. Because again, the early vote data, as we can see, or as we just saw, is not really looking the best for Republicans. You do have more Democrats coming out to vote, probably in the northern metro area. But again, I wanted to look at each of these counties and see if they shifted Republican, could this put Virginia back into play for the Republicans? Could it become a swing state like it was back in the early 2010s and even in 2008 against Obama? So without further ado, let's take a look at each county and see what we can do. So in Virginia, we're going to start in the northern area, and specifically we're going to start in Arlington County, which has a sizable population, and a good percentage of the state's population lives in Arlington, Fairfax, Loudoun County. These 3 counties have a lot of people. So with Arlington, right now, the Republicans roughly get 30%. But let's say it's a really good night and they can crack 35%. That would be a 13-point shift for the Republicans. But let's say Trump appeals to that suburban vote and he narrows the Democrat lead in Arlington County, and he does the same thing in Alexandria, which is very Democratic. But let's say Republicans get their game together, Trump has a good field operation, and he gets 25 or 26% of the vote there, which isn't unreasonable. Again, he would just narrow the Democrat lead. He's not looking to flip these counties. And as you can see, Harris's lead has already gone under 10%, and we've only done 2 counties. Now let's look at Fairfax. This is a big one. So right now, Republicans, based off of the 2020 election results, are only getting about 28%. But what if they could crack 35%? What if you could get those suburban voters out there? Again, this would be a 13-point shift, and you would significantly narrow the Democrat margin in Fairfax County. Let's also look at Loudoun County. Let's say that Republicans can do a little bit better here, and they can crack 40 to 41%. That would be a 22-point shift for the Republicans. Let's say in Prince William County, Republicans can crack 40% as well. Again, that would be a pretty large shift, about a 30-point shift for the Republicans, but even still. And as you can see, already the Democrat lead for Harris has gone down to 6.5%. And we're not even done, folks. Again, let's look at the state holistically. Let's look at Charlottesville, right, where that infamous riot took place that really harmed President Trump's presidency and his reputation. Let's say that Republicans can crack 20%, 21%. These small counties add up. I'm telling you, Richmond, this is a big one. Let's say that in Richmond, Republicans get their act together and they mobilize voters and they get 20 to 22% of the vote. That would be a 31% shift. Boom, Harris's lead is down to only 6%. Let's go to Hampton County. Okay, in Hampton County, Republicans are only getting 28% of the vote. They should be getting 35. Let's say that they crack 35. That would be a little bit more for the Republicans. Let's say in Norfolk County, Republicans again crack 33%. Doesn't even have to be 35%. Let's say in Portsmouth, again, Republicans crack 34%. Let's be more conservative. And as you can see, Harris is down to 5.5 points, and we're not even done. Let's go to Franklin County. It's a small county, but let's say Republicans can crack 43, 45%. Let's also say in this county, Republicans can get 35 to 36%. Let's also keep going. Let's say that they improve their margins slightly in the red counties. Let's also say in York County that Republicans improve ever so slightly. And let's keep going. Let's say Stafford County, Republicans improve and they crack 48%. And as you can see, Harris's lead is down to just 5.5%, less than 5.5%. But as you can see, we're kind of running out of main population areas. So let's go back to Northern Virginia and see what we can do. Again, in this county, let's say Republicans crack 30%. Let's say they up their game. Same thing in Manassas Park. Let's say Republicans crack 40%. It's a suburban area or borough. Let's say in Fredericksburg, Republicans can crack 35% of the vote here, or 36%. And as you can see, Harris is still going down. But we are running out of options here. Let's go back to Petersburg, and let's say that Republicans up their game and they crack 18, 19%. That still doesn't really move the needle. And you're looking at the map here, you would really need to improve your margins in the already Republican areas and get turnout. So let's say in Halifax, for example, the Republicans turn out more and you get 63% of the vote. Same thing in Mecklenburg. Let's say 62% for the Republicans. Let's say in Lunenburg, you get, again, 62, 63%. Southampton, all these votes add up. They all add up in the state of Virginia. Let's say here they get 63%. Let's say in Prince George, they run up the margins and they get 61%, right? As long as you improve a little bit in each county, it is possible. You just have to keep running up the margins. However, as we can see, it would only get Kamala Harris's lead to under 5%. And I think that's really the best case scenario for the Republicans. I don't think they can realistically win Virginia this cycle. I do think they'll get it closer, but I don't think it would be enough to flip the state of Virginia. You would need some surprises, or you'd need extreme turnout for Republicans, and you would need Democrats in the northern area to just not turn out. Maybe instead of getting 35% in Fairfax County, Republicans find a way to crack 40%. That would then really put the state into play. You'd be at 3.5%. Let's go to Loudoun County. Let's say there, Republicans find a way to crack 45%. Which I don't really think is feasible, or 44%. Then that would make it a 3-point race. It would be pretty dang hard, and I don't see Trump campaigning in Northern Virginia. I think he's looking to instead get his base to vote for the congressional seats so that he can have a solid congressional majority in Congress. And Virginia does have a lot of House seats that are competitive, so winning those seats down ballot certainly would help Donald Trump be able to push his agenda through. So in conclusion, I would say it's possible you could win Virginia, but I would say for now, Harris is probably going to win it, but it's going to be closer, and it's definitely going to have a rightward leaning shift in this election cycle. So folks, I hope you enjoyed this video, and as always, thank you for watching. But let's get out and vote. Maybe we can flip the state of Virginia and give Donald Trump 4 more years in the White House. Thank you all for watching, and have a great day.